This week's controversy, quote unquote controversy surrounding J.K. Rowling, I think should suffice. For a little bit of background, there's this woman named Maya Forstater, and she's a researcher in the United Kingdom who recently lost her job for stating the scientific and indisputable fact that men cannot turn into women. That's what she said. Men cannot turn into women. And Forstater lost her job. She went to court to win her job back, but an employment judge ruled against her this week and said that Forstater's belief in biological science is, quote, not worthy of respect in a democratic society. Actually, let me quote from this judge a little bit more at length because I think you need to hear this. This is Judge James Taylor, no relation, I assume. He says, if a person has transitioned from male to female and has a gender recognition certificate, more on that in a second, that person is legally a woman. That is not something Ms. Forstater is entitled to ignore. Ms. Forstater's position is that even if a trans woman has a GRC, she cannot honestly describe herself as a woman. That belief is not worthy of respect in a democratic society. Even paying due regards, is still the judge, to the qualified right to freedom of expression, people cannot expect to be protected if their core belief involves violating others' dignity and creating an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or offensive environment for them. I mean, this is shocking. And let's not be so jaded by the left's insanity that we don't appreciate how extra insane this is. First of all, you have the gender recognition certificate. I went to the website, the government website that where you go if you want to get a gender recognition certificate. So if you want to get your gender recognized in the UK, go to this website. This is how they describe the process of getting a gender recognition certificate. It says, apply to get to the gender recognition panel, for a gender recognition certificate. No, by the way, I'm not reading something from a dystopian fiction novel. This is real. This is an actual thing, okay? Apply to the gender recognition panel for a gender recognition certificate if you want your acquired gender to be legally recognized in the UK. There are 3 different ways to get a certificate. Which one you use depends on your situation. Here's the standard route. Apply by the standard route if all of the following are true. You're 18 or over. You've been diagnosed with gender dysphoria. You've lived in your acquired gender for at least 2 years, and you intend to live in your acquired gender for the rest of your life. Okay. That's how you get a certificate. Now, lived in your acquired gender. Lived in, acquired, gender. What the hell does any of that mean? Could anyone give me, 3 sentences explaining exactly what that means? How do you live in a gender? How do you live in a gender? And how do you acquire one? And from where do you acquire it? Just think of how this would sound in normal conversation. Oh, I acquired my male gender when I was 22. Yeah, I've been living in it for 10 years. So not bad. Maybe a little problem with the transmission. Might have to take it back to the dealership. Again, where are you acquiring this gender from, and how do you acquire it? And what does that mean to acquire it? And living in a gender. This is part of the superstition of the modern left. What they have created is the weirdest kind of dualism that the world has ever seen, where they're sort of separating the person, where you as a person, you are this kind of genderless, amorphous entity sort of floating around, and then your gender is something that you select out of the ether and put on like a sweater or get inside like a car and you just drive it around. That's the way they're presenting how this works. And the only thing you can call that is religious doctrine. It's certainly not science, and it makes no logical sense. And what is the judge saying? Is he saying that the government's decision to recognize your acquired gender, whatever that means, magically makes you into that gender, turns you into that gender? Because Forstater's point about was not just about the government's recognition. Forstater's point was about what a person actually is. She was saying that a biological male can't actually turn into a woman. So if this judge is disagreeing, he must be saying that a man who gets this certificate is actually now a woman. That again is a supernatural claim. That is religious dogma. This is like a perverse version of transubstantiation or something. Instead of the Eucharist turning into the body and blood of Christ, this is a man supernaturally transforming into a woman by the incantation of a government bureaucrat. That's what they're saying. In fact, here's one of just so we understand the context here. Here's one of Forstater's tweets specifically. Here's what she said. I share the concerns of @FairPlayWomen that radically expanding the legal definition of women so that it can include both males and females makes it a meaningless concept and will undermine women's rights and protections for vulnerable women and girls. That's what she said. And keep in mind, this judge didn't just say that she was wrong in this blatantly obvious assertion on her part. The judge said that it's so wrong, it is so vile, so disgusting, so horrible that there's no place for it in society. But can anyone respond to the point she made? Can any of the superstitious cultists who believe in the fluidity of gender actually respond to the point that she made? The point she's making is that if you expand this, if you expand woman to include males, then the word woman doesn't mean anything anymore. What does it mean? Now, we'll get back to that in a second as well. He also ruled that her views on biology do not have the protected characteristic of philosophical belief. And on that point, I think he's actually correct, because it's not a philosophical belief that men can't transition into women. That's not a philosophical belief. That is a scientific fact. But a fact that these days just cannot be stated publicly without being punished. So here's where J.K. Rowling comes in, and this is where she gets in line for cancellation. The author came to Forstater's defense, but did so in the mildest and most leftist-friendly way possible. Or so she thought. So she wrote on Twitter, Rowling did, dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you, live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real? ? And then hashtag I stand with Maya. That was it. That's what she said. Rowling here, she affirms the relativistic libertine position on every point, except she is not willing to profess biological sex as a figment of our imagination. So, simply for suggesting that sex exists, Rowling has found herself in the middle of a leftist firestorm, and you've got thousands of these science-hating lunatics who are calling her bigoted and transphobic and on and on and on, all because she relayed a fact, an indisputable fact. Thank you for tuning into the Daily Wire, one of the fastest growing conservative media outlets in the entire country. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and a subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our content.